HQN Books and HarlequinAudio present The Inheritance by JoAnn Ross, performed by Anne-Marie Gideon. Prologue. Aberdeen, Oregon. Conflict photographer Jackson Swann had traveled to dark and deadly places in the world most people would never see, nor want to. Along with dodging bullets and mortars, he'd survived a helicopter crash in Afghanistan, gotten shot mere inches from his heart in Niger, and been stung by a death-stalker scorpion while embedded with the French Foreign Legion in Mali. Some of those who'd worked with him over the decades had called him reckless, rash, dangerous. Over late-night beers or whatever else passed as liquor in whatever country they'd all swarmed to, other photographers and foreign journalists would argue about whether that bastard Jackson Swann had a death wish or merely considered himself invincible. He did, after all, rush into high-octane situations no sane person would ever consider, and even when the shit hit the fan, somehow he'd come out alive and be on the move again, chasing the next war or crisis like a drug addict chased a high. The truth was that Jack had never believed himself to be immortal. Still, as he looked out over the peaceful view of rolling hills, the cherry trees wearing their spring profusion of pink blossoms, and acres of vineyards, he found it ironic that after having evaded the Grim Reaper so many times over so many decades, it was an aggressive and rapidly spreading lung cancer that was going to kill him. Which was why he was here, sitting on the terraced patio of Chateau de Madeleine, the towering gray stone house that his father, Robert Swann, had built for his beloved war bride, Madeleine, to ease her homesickness. Oregon's Willamette Valley was a beautiful place, but it was not Madeleine's childhood home in France's Burgundy region, where much of her family still lived. Family. Jack understood that to many, the American dream featured a cookie-cutter suburban house, a green lawn you had to mow every weekend, a white picket fence, happy, well-fed kids, and a mutt who'd greet him with unrestrained canine glee whenever he returned home from work. It wasn't a bad dream, but it wasn't, and never would be, his dream. How could it be, with the survivor's guilt that shadowed him like a tribe of moaning ghosts? Although he'd never been all that introspective, Jack realized that the moral dilemma he'd experienced every time he'd had to force himself to remain emotionally removed from the bloody scenes of chaos and death he was viewing through the lens of his camera had left him too broken to feel or even behave like a normal human being. 10 years ago, after his strong, robust father died of a sudden heart attack while fly fishing, Jack had inherited the winery with his mother, who'd professed no interest in the day-to-day running of the family business. After signing over control of the winery to him and declaring the rambling house too large for one woman, Madeleine Swann had moved into the guest house next to the garden she'd begun her first year in Oregon, a garden that supplied the vegetables and herbs she used for cooking many of the French meals she'd grown up with. His father's death had left Jack in charge of 260 acres of vineyards and 20 acres of orchards. Not wanting nor able to give up his wanderlust ways to settle down and become a farmer of grapes and cherries, Jack had hired Gideon, a recent widower with a 5-year-old daughter, away from a Napa winery to serve as both manager and vintner. "Are you sure you don't want me to call them?" Gideon, walking toward him, carrying a bottle of wine and 2 glasses, asked, not for the first time over the past weeks. "The only reason that Tess would want to see me would be to wave me off to hell." In the same way he'd never softened the impact of his photos, Jack never minced words nor romanticized his life. There would be no dramatic scenes with his 3 daughters, all now grown women with lives of their own, hovering over his deathbed. "Have you considered that she might want to have an opportunity to talk with you? If for no other reason to ask, why
Sample complete. Ready to continue?